Before we begin, I want to ask you one question. What if the reason you still cannot find happiness has nothing to do with your past, your job, your relationships, or the problems you are carrying today? What if the real reason is something so quiet that you have never even noticed it? Right now, without realizing it, you may be fighting a battle that can never be won. You fight people who refuse to change. You fight mistakes that happened years ago. You fight a future that has not even arrived. You fight every painful memory. You fight every unexpected change. And most of all, you fight life itself. The Buddha taught that suffering is not created only because life is difficult. It is created because the mind refuses to let life be exactly as it is. Imagine swimming against a powerful river. The harder you struggle, the more exhausted you become. Then one day, you stop fighting. The river has not changed, but suddenly, it begins carrying you instead of drowning you. That is the moment everything changes. In today's journey, you will discover 8 timeless lessons of Buddhist wisdom that have transformed countless lives for centuries. These lessons are not about escaping pain. They are about ending the invisible war inside your own mind. Because the greatest prison is not the world around you. It is the constant battle happening within you, and perhaps the happiness you have spent your entire life searching for was never waiting in another place. It was waiting for the moment you finally stopped fighting life. So take one slow breath, open your heart, and let's begin the journey toward the peace that has always been quietly waiting for you. The hidden war against reality is stealing your happiness. Most people believe they are fighting difficult people. Some believe they are fighting bad luck. Others believe they are fighting their past, their fears, or their circumstances. But according to Buddhist wisdom, the greatest battle is much quieter than that. It is the battle you fight against reality itself. This battle begins the moment life refuses to follow the picture your mind has created. You expect someone to stay forever, but they leave. You work hard, yet success takes longer than you imagined. You give your love, but it is not returned. You make careful plans, but life changes them overnight. The painful event is only the beginning. What truly drains your heart is what happens afterward. Your mind begins arguing with reality. This should never have happened. They should have treated me differently. My life should look better than this. If only I had made a different choice. These thoughts seem harmless because almost everyone has them, but each one is like adding another stone to a bag that you are already carrying. The event may last one day. Your resistance to it can last for years. Many people wake up every morning carrying old arguments with life. Some are still angry about something that happened 10 years ago. Some are still waiting for an apology that may never come. Some are still trying to change a past that no longer exists. Without realizing it, they have stopped living in the present. Their body is here. Their mind is somewhere else, fighting a battle that has already ended. Imagine standing in the middle of a river. The water is flowing exactly as rivers have always flowed. Instead of moving with it, you decide to push the current backward with your hands. You use all your strength. Your muscles become tired. Your breathing becomes heavy. Hours pass. The river has not changed. Only you have become exhausted. Life works the same way. Reality keeps moving forward whether you accept it or not. The seasons change. Children grow into adults. People arrive. People leave. Your body changes. Your dreams change. The world never stands still. Yet the mind keeps whispering the same sentence, I don't want things to change. This quiet resistance becomes the source of endless suffering. The Buddha taught that pain is part of life, but much of our suffering is created by the way we respond to pain. Think about a tree during a storm. The tree does not waste its energy becoming angry at the wind. It bends, it moves, it allows the storm to pass. Because it does not fight the wind, it survives. Now imagine another tree that refuses to move. It stands stiff, trying to defeat every gust. Eventually, it breaks. Many people live like that second tree. They believe strength means resisting everything they dislike. But true strength is different. True strength is knowing what cannot be changed and choosing not to waste your peace fighting it. Acceptance is often misunderstood. Some people hear the word accept and think it means giving up. They believe accepting reality means becoming weak or allowing life to defeat them. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something completely different. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is clarity. It is looking directly at reality without covering it with fear, anger, or denial. When you accept that rain is falling, you stop complaining and open your umbrella. When you accept that night has arrived, you stop searching for the sun and light a candle. When you accept that a chapter of your life has ended, you finally become free to begin another one. Acceptance does not stop you from improving your life. It simply stops you from wasting your energy denying what is already true. This is where real freedom begins. Many people spend years asking one painful question: why did this happen to me? But there is another question that brings much more peace. Now that this has happened, how will I move forward with wisdom? Notice the difference. The first question keeps you trapped in yesterday. The second question gently leads you toward tomorrow. The first question searches for someone to blame. The second question searches for a better way to live. That small shift changes everything. One of the quietest forms of suffering is expecting life to be fair all the time. You expect kindness from everyone. You expect honesty from every friend. You expect every effort to be rewarded immediately. But life has never promised perfect fairness. Sometimes good people experience pain. Sometimes dishonest people appear successful. Sometimes your greatest effort receives no applause. When reality refuses to match your expectations, disappointment grows, not because life betrayed you, but because your expectations became stronger than reality itself. The Buddha often reminded his students that the world is always changing. Nothing stays exactly as it is. Trying to hold everything still is like trying to hold the wind inside your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. Perhaps the greatest prison is not your circumstances. Perhaps it is the belief that life must always happen your way before you allow yourself to be happy. Think about how much peace you have postponed. I'll be peaceful when they finally understand me. I'll be happy when life becomes easier. I'll relax after every problem disappears. But what if that day never comes? Will your happiness continue waiting forever? The truth is that life will always contain something unexpected. There will always be another challenge, another change, another goodbye, another uncertainty. If your peace depends on a perfect life, peace will always remain out of reach. But if your peace depends on your ability to meet life with an open heart, then happiness can begin today. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have stopped demanding perfection from an imperfect world. This is the first great doorway to inner freedom. The moment you stop arguing with reality, something beautiful happens inside you. Your breathing becomes slower. Your thoughts become quieter. Your shoulders begin to relax. The weight you carried for so long starts becoming lighter. Nothing outside has changed. The same sky remains above you. The same world continues moving, yet everything inside feels different. Because the greatest battle has finally come to an end. And in the silence that follows, happiness quietly takes its first step into your heart. The more you try to control life, the more peace slips away. One of the greatest illusions of the human mind is believing that everything must happen according to its plan before it can finally relax. You tell yourself that once life becomes predictable, you will feel peaceful. Once every problem is solved, you will stop worrying. Once everyone understands you, you will finally feel secure. But look closely at your own life. Has that day ever truly arrived? Every time one problem disappears, another one quietly takes its place. You solve one challenge, and the mind immediately begins searching for the next thing to fear. This is because the mind is not searching for peace. It is searching for certainty. And certainty is something life has never promised. Life is like the wind. You can feel it, you can enjoy it, but you cannot command where it will blow tomorrow. The more you demand certainty from an uncertain world, the more anxious your heart becomes. Many people spend years trying to control things that were never theirs to control. They try to control how other people think. They try to control who stays and who leaves. They try to control every conversation before it happens. They replay old memories, hoping somehow the past will change. They imagine hundreds of future situations, believing that if they think hard enough, they can prevent pain from ever arriving. But something surprising happens. The more they try to control life, the less peaceful they become. Their body may be sitting quietly in a room, yet their mind is running in every direction. It is planning, predicting, preparing, worrying, questioning. It never truly rests. The Buddha understood this long before modern psychology. He saw that the restless mind always believes that one more plan, one more answer, one more prediction will finally bring peace. Yet every answer creates another question. Every plan creates another fear. Every attempt to control tomorrow steals your ability to live today. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you hold it gently, most of it remains in your hand. But if you squeeze it tightly, because you are afraid of losing it, the sand slips through your fingers even faster. Life works in exactly the same way. Relationships become healthier when they are not controlled. Friendships become stronger when they are given freedom. Love grows deeper when it is not ruled by fear. Even your own happiness becomes lighter when you stop trying to force it. Control often comes from fear. You fear losing what you have. You fear not getting what you want. You fear making mistakes. You fear uncertainty. But beneath every fear is one simple desire. You only want to feel safe. The tragedy is that the harder you chase safety by controlling everything, the more unsafe your heart begins to feel. Think about how much energy you spend every single day trying to predict what has not happened yet. Someone sends a short message. Immediately your mind creates 10 different stories. Maybe they are angry. Maybe they no longer care. Maybe something is wrong. Hours later, you discover they were simply busy. Your suffering was real, but it was created by imagination, not reality. How often has this happened in your own life? How many nights have you lost sleep over events that never actually happened? How many conversations have you rehearsed that never took place? How many disasters have you survived only inside your own mind? The Buddha invited people to observe this habit with honesty, not to judge themselves, not to feel guilty, simply to notice, because awareness is always the first step toward freedom. The moment you become aware of your need to control everything, something beautiful begins to change. You stop believing every fearful thought. You stop chasing every imaginary future. You stop carrying tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. This does not mean becoming careless. It does not mean refusing to prepare for life. Preparation is wise. Obsession is suffering. There is a quiet difference between the two. A wise person plants seeds. An anxious person keeps digging them up every day to check if they are growing. The first person trusts the process. The second person destroys it through impatience. How often have you done the same thing with your own life? You begin learning a new skill, but after a few weeks you become frustrated because success has not appeared yet. You start healing, but every morning you ask yourself why you are not completely healed. You begin meditation, yet you become impatient because your mind is still noisy. You want instant change. But nature has never worked that way. Look at a mountain. It was not formed in one day. Look at a great tree. It did not become strong overnight. Look at the lotus flower. It does not rush toward the surface. It grows quietly beneath the water long before anyone sees its beauty. Your own life follows the same rhythm. Some changes are invisible before they become visible. Some healing happens deep inside before it appears on the outside. When you constantly try to control the timing of everything, you interrupt your own growth. Another hidden form of control is expecting every person to behave exactly as you wish. You expect everyone to understand your heart. You expect people to appreciate your kindness. You expect honesty from every stranger. You expect loyalty from everyone you love. But every human being is walking through life carrying different experiences, different fears, and different levels of awareness. Not everyone will meet you where you stand. Some people will disappoint you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will leave without explanation. If your peace depends on controlling their behavior, then your peace will always belong to someone else. Real freedom begins when you understand one simple truth. You cannot control another person's actions, but you can always choose your own response. And that choice is where your true power lives. The Buddha never promised a life without uncertainty. He showed a path where uncertainty no longer controls your heart. Imagine waking up tomorrow without needing to know exactly how every part of your day will unfold. Imagine trusting yourself enough to meet whatever comes. Imagine believing that even if life surprises you, you will find the wisdom to respond with calm instead of panic. That is real confidence, not confidence that life will always be easy, but confidence that your inner peace does not disappear every time life becomes difficult. The river does not ask where every turn will lead before it begins to flow. The birds do not wait for perfect weather before they sing. The sun does not fear tomorrow before it rises. Nature trusts the rhythm of life. Perhaps that is why nature appears so peaceful. The human mind becomes exhausted because it constantly tries to control what nature simply allows. Today, ask yourself one gentle question: what am I holding so tightly that it is stealing my peace? Is it a relationship, a dream, a fear, a mistake from the past, or an imagined future that has never arrived? You do not have to force yourself to let go all at once. Simply loosen your grip a little. Take one deep breath. Trust one moment more than you trusted it yesterday. Allow life to unfold without trying to control every step. You may discover something unexpected. Life has been carrying you much more gently than you ever realized. And the moment you stop trying to control every wave, you finally learn how to float. Happiness never arrives tomorrow. It is waiting for you right now. One of the greatest tricks your mind will ever play on you is convincing you that happiness is somewhere else. Not here, not today, not in this ordinary moment. It whispers that happiness is waiting in the future. It tells you that you will finally feel at peace after you earn more money, after you buy a bigger house, after you lose weight, after you find the right relationship, after people begin respecting you, after your problems disappear. The mind always points toward tomorrow, and because of that, it quietly steals today. Look back over your own life for a moment. How many times have you reached something you once believed would make you completely happy? Perhaps you finally graduated. Perhaps you found your dream job. Perhaps you bought something you had wanted for years. Perhaps someone finally loved you. For a short time, your heart felt excited, but slowly, almost without noticing, the excitement faded. Then your mind created another destination, another goal, another condition, another reason to postpone your happiness. This is the endless race that so many people spend their entire lives running. They believe they are chasing happiness, but in reality, they are chasing an idea that keeps moving further away every time they get close. The Buddha understood this deeply. He saw that the human mind has a habit of believing that peace lives somewhere in the future, yet the future never truly arrives. When tomorrow comes, it becomes another today, and once again, the mind begins saying, maybe happiness is waiting in tomorrow. This is why many people become old without ever feeling satisfied. Not because life refused to give them enough, but because they never allowed themselves to fully live the moment they already had. Imagine walking through the most beautiful garden in the world. Every flower is blooming. The air is fresh. Birds are singing. The morning sun gently touches every leaf. But instead of looking around, you keep staring at a map that promises an even more beautiful garden somewhere ahead. You rush past every flower. You ignore every fragrance. You never stop long enough to appreciate where you already are. Then, years later, you wonder why your life felt empty. The problem was never the garden. The problem was that your attention was always somewhere else. This is exactly how many people live. They eat without tasting their food. They walk without noticing the sky. They speak with loved ones while thinking about work. They finish one task only to worry about the next one. Their body is present. Their mind is always absent. The present moment becomes nothing more than a bridge leading to another destination. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something completely different. Life is not happening after this moment. Life is happening inside this moment. If you miss this moment, you are missing your life. Many people believe that being present is something small, but it is actually one of the greatest transformations a person can experience. When your attention finally returns to the present, the world begins to look different. Things that once felt ordinary suddenly become extraordinary. You notice the sound of the wind moving through the trees. You notice the warmth of sunlight touching your face. You notice the quiet comfort of your own breathing. You notice the smile of a stranger. You notice the peaceful silence between your thoughts. These moments were always there. You simply never stayed still long enough to see them. The mind is addicted to becoming. It constantly says, I will become happier. I will become successful. I will become peaceful. But the heart speaks a different language. The heart says, be here, because only here can peace be found. Think about a child playing in the rain. The child is not thinking about tomorrow. The child is not worrying about next year. The child is completely inside the moment. That is why children often experience joy so naturally. As we grow older, we lose this gift. We begin measuring every moment by asking, what comes next? Instead of asking, what beauty exists here? Slowly, life becomes a list of responsibilities instead of a miracle to experience. Another reason people postpone happiness is because they believe they must first deserve it. They tell themselves, I cannot relax until everything is finished. I cannot enjoy myself because there is still more work to do. I cannot smile while my life is imperfect. But if you wait for a perfect life before allowing yourself to feel joy, you may wait forever. There will always be another challenge, another responsibility, another unexpected problem. Life does not suddenly become free from difficulty. Instead, wisdom teaches you how to remain peaceful even while difficulties exist. Think about the lotus flower. It does not wait for perfect water before it blooms. It grows in muddy water. Its beauty appears because of the mud, not despite it. Your happiness can grow in exactly the same way. It does not need perfect circumstances. It only needs your willingness to stop rejecting the life you already have. Sometimes the greatest blessings are hidden inside ordinary moments. A peaceful morning, a quiet walk, a warm cup of tea, a conversation with someone you love, the sound of rain outside your window, the feeling of taking one slow, deep breath after a difficult day. These moments seem small, but together they become a beautiful life. The problem is not that life gives us too few beautiful moments. The problem is that our attention is always chasing the next one. One day you will realize that many of the moments you rushed through were actually the happiest days of your life. The ordinary evenings, the simple meals, the people who quietly sat beside you, the mornings when nothing special happened. You did not know they were precious because you believed something greater was waiting ahead. Do not make that mistake again. The Buddha often reminded his followers that attachment to the future creates just as much suffering as attachment to the past. The past fills you with regret. The future fills you with anxiety. Only the present has enough space for peace. Ask yourself something honestly. If everything you are chasing suddenly disappeared tomorrow, would you still know how to enjoy this moment? Would you still notice the sky? Would you still hear the birds singing? Would you still smile at a beautiful sunset? Or have you forgotten how to simply be alive? True happiness is not something you discover at the end of your journey. It quietly walks beside you every single day, but it only reveals itself when you slow down enough to notice. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop believing peace lives in another city, another relationship, another job, another version of yourself. The life you keep postponing is already happening. This breath, this heartbeat, this sunrise, this conversation, this quiet moment, this is not the road leading to happiness. This is happiness waiting patiently for you to open your eyes. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that happiness is difficult to find. It is that it has been standing beside you all along, while your mind kept searching somewhere else. Every time you resist change, you resist your own growth. Nothing in this universe stays the same. The sun rises and sets. The seasons quietly replace one another. The ocean never stops moving. The clouds never remain in one place. A tiny seed becomes a mighty tree. A child becomes an adult. Even the mountains that seem unshakable are slowly changing with every passing year. Nature never fights change. It flows with it. Only the human mind believes that life should remain exactly as it is. It says, "I wish nothing had changed. I wish they had stayed. I wish I could go back. I wish life would stop moving." But life has never promised to stand still. It has only promised to keep moving. And perhaps that is one of its greatest gifts, because if nothing ever changed, neither would you. Think about the hardest season of your life. At the time, it probably felt unfair. You may have cried yourself to sleep. You may have questioned why everything was falling apart. You may have believed your life would never feel peaceful again. But look at yourself now. Even if you still carry some pain, you are not the same person you were back then. You have become wiser, stronger, more patient, more compassionate. You notice things today that your younger self could never see. That difficult season changed you. Not because suffering is beautiful, but because growth often hides inside the experiences we try hardest to avoid. The Buddha taught that everything in life is impermanent. Nothing lasts forever. Not joy, not pain, not success, not failure, not youth, not old age. Everything is passing through. When we forget this truth, we begin holding on to things that were never meant to stay. We hold on to old versions of ourselves. We hold on to broken relationships. We hold on to old dreams that no longer fit who we have become. We even hold on to pain because it has become familiar. Sometimes people stay trapped in suffering simply because suffering feels safer than change. The unknown frightens them more than the pain they already know. Imagine holding a handful of autumn leaves. No matter how tightly you hold them, they slowly become dry and crumble into dust. The leaves are not disappearing because you failed. They are disappearing because their season has ended. Life is full of seasons just like that. Some people enter your life to stay for years. Others arrive only to teach one lesson before continuing their own journey. Some opportunities exist only for a short time. Some dreams quietly disappear so that better ones can take their place. Yet the mind keeps asking, why couldn't things stay the way they were? Because life is not designed to stay the same. It is designed to help you grow. One of the deepest forms of suffering comes from trying to keep yesterday alive. You replay old memories again and again. You imagine different endings. You wonder what would have happened if you had spoken different words, if you had made another decision, if you had loved someone more, if someone had loved you differently. But no amount of thinking can reopen a chapter that life has already finished writing. The more you stare at a closed door, the less likely you are to notice the open one standing quietly beside it. Many people miss beautiful opportunities because they are still grieving opportunities that have already passed. Their heart remains turned toward yesterday, while life patiently waits for them in today. There is another truth that Buddhist wisdom gently reminds us of. Sometimes life removes things because they no longer belong in the person you are becoming. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. At first you think every stone is important. You refuse to let go of any of them. As the journey becomes longer, your shoulders begin to ache. Your breathing becomes heavy. Your steps become slower. Then someone tells you, you don't need to carry all of this anymore. At first you refuse. You have carried those stones for so long that they feel like part of who you are. But slowly, you place one stone on the ground, then another, then another. With every stone you release, something surprising happens. The road itself does not become easier. You simply become lighter. Life often works the same way. Sometimes what disappears from your life is not a punishment. It is unnecessary weight being removed from your path. A relationship ends, a job changes, a friendship fades, a dream falls apart. At first you call it loss. Years later, you realize it was preparation. Think about a snake shedding its old skin. If it refused to let go, it could never continue growing. The very thing protecting it would eventually become the thing trapping it. Human beings often do exactly the same thing. We outgrow old beliefs but continue carrying them. We outgrow old fears but still obey them. We outgrow certain people but remain attached to memories that no longer reflect who we are. Growth asks you to release what no longer fits, not because it was worthless, but because your next chapter requires more space. One of the greatest fears people have is the fear of becoming someone new. Strangely, they pray for change while secretly resisting it. They ask for peace but refuse to leave the habits creating their anxiety. They ask for happiness while holding tightly to resentment. They ask for freedom while refusing to release the past. Transformation cannot happen while everything remains the same. The caterpillar cannot become a butterfly without leaving behind the life it once knew. The seed cannot become a tree without first disappearing beneath the soil. Every beautiful transformation begins with something ending. This is why endings should not always be feared. Sometimes an ending is simply life whispering, there is something greater waiting ahead. The problem is that the mind judges change too quickly. It labels every unexpected event as bad, but life often reveals its wisdom slowly. The person who broke your heart may have protected you from a future filled with even greater pain. The opportunity you lost may have made room for one you could never have imagined. The delay that frustrated you may have saved you from walking the wrong path. You rarely understand life's reasons while you are standing in the middle of the storm. Understanding usually arrives much later, when you finally look back. That is why trust is so important. Not blind trust, but quiet trust. Trust that life continues moving even when you cannot see where it is leading. Trust that every season has a purpose. Trust that your heart is capable of surviving more than your fears would have you believe. Most importantly, trust that you do not need to become the person you used to be. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow old versions of yourself. You are allowed to think differently, to dream differently, to love differently, to live differently. Growth is not betrayal. Growth is life. So stop asking life to return to what it once was. That chapter gave you everything it could. Now let it rest. Open your hands instead of closing your fists. Welcome the uncertainty instead of fearing it. Walk toward the unknown with a peaceful heart. Because every sunrise begins by leaving the darkness behind. Every spring begins after the coldest winter. Every lotus blooms by rising through muddy water. And every person who discovers lasting happiness first learns one unforgettable truth. The life you are afraid of losing may be the very life that is preventing the beautiful one waiting to begin. Your mind is creating suffering that doesn't truly exist. There is one place where most human suffering begins. It is not outside you. It is not inside other people. It is not hidden somewhere in the future. It begins inside your own mind. Not because your mind is your enemy, but because your mind was never designed to stay quiet on its own. It constantly creates stories. It imagines possibilities. It predicts danger. It remembers painful moments. It compares. It judges. It worries. And if you never learn to observe it, you slowly begin believing everything it says. This is one of the deepest truths the Buddha tried to teach. Your thoughts are not always telling you the truth. They are simply thoughts, nothing more. Imagine sitting beside a peaceful river. Leaves float across the surface of the water. Some are green, some are brown, some disappear within seconds, others stay a little longer before drifting away. Would you jump into the river every time a leaf floated by? Of course not. You would simply watch it pass. Thoughts are meant to be treated the same way. They appear, they stay for a while, then they disappear. The problem begins when you climb onto every passing thought and allow it to carry you wherever it wants. One fearful thought appears. What if I fail? Instead of watching it pass, you believe it. Soon another thought follows. What if everyone judges me? Then another. What if nothing ever gets better? Within minutes, your heart feels heavy. Your breathing changes. Your body becomes tense. Nothing outside has changed. The room is still the same. The people around you are still the same. The only thing that changed was the story inside your mind. Yet your body reacts as though that story were already real. This is why so many people suffer from battles that have never actually happened. The mind has an incredible ability to create imaginary pain. It can turn one small uncertainty into a disaster. One unanswered message becomes rejection. One mistake becomes failure. One criticism becomes proof that you are not enough. The mind always fills empty spaces with fear. It would rather invent an answer than peacefully admit, "I don't know." Think about how often you have worried about something for days, only to discover that your fear never became reality. Perhaps you could not sleep because you imagined the worst possible outcome. You replayed every terrible possibility. Your heart raced. Your stomach felt tight. Then the day finally arrived, and everything turned out completely differently. How much of your suffering was necessary? Very little. Most of it existed only inside your imagination. The Buddha compared the uncontrolled mind to a wild monkey jumping from one branch to another. One moment it thinks about yesterday, the next moment it fears tomorrow. Then it compares itself with someone else. Then it begins judging itself. Then it starts replaying an old memory. It never stays still long enough to experience peace. This restless movement creates endless exhaustion. The tragedy is not that the mind creates thoughts. The tragedy is that we mistake every thought for reality. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. The mirror reflects your face, but if dust covers the mirror, the reflection becomes unclear. The problem is not your face. The problem is the dust. Your awareness is like that mirror. Fear, anger, jealousy, regret, constant worrying. These are like layers of dust covering your ability to see clearly. When your awareness becomes calm, the dust slowly settles. Reality becomes easier to see. Another habit of the mind is creating stories about people. Someone walks past you without smiling. Your mind says, "They must dislike me." A friend replies later than usual. Your mind whispers, "They don't care anymore." Someone succeeds. Your mind says, "They're better than me." Notice something important. None of these are facts. They are interpretations. Yet people build entire emotional worlds around these imagined stories. Relationships are damaged. Confidence disappears. Peace fades away. All because the mind invented a meaning that may not even be true. This is why awareness is so powerful. Awareness creates a small space between you and your thoughts. Inside that space, freedom begins. Instead of immediately believing every thought, you gently ask, "Is this actually true? Do I know this for certain? Or is my fear speaking?" That simple question has the power to stop countless hours of unnecessary suffering. The Buddha never taught people to destroy their thoughts. He taught them to understand them. The goal is not an empty mind. The goal is a peaceful relationship with your own mind. Thoughts will continue appearing, just as clouds continue appearing in the sky, but the sky is never harmed by the clouds passing through it. Your awareness is like the open sky. Your thoughts are only passing weather. Some are bright, some are dark, some arrive with storms, some disappear almost immediately, but none of them define who you truly are. You are not your fear. You are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You are the one quietly observing them all. Another reason the mind creates suffering is because it loves comparison. It constantly measures. Someone is richer. Someone is younger. Someone looks happier. Someone has achieved more. The mind immediately turns another person's journey into a reason to criticize your own. But comparison is built on incomplete information. You see their smile. You do not see their loneliness. You see their success. You do not see the nights they cried. You see their confidence. You do not see the fears they hide. The mind compares your private struggles with someone else's public image. That comparison can never be fair. Perhaps one of the kindest things you can do for yourself is to stop believing every sentence your mind repeats. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear deserves your energy. Not every memory deserves another visit. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is simply smile and let the thought pass. Like a leaf floating down the river, like a cloud crossing the sky, like a bird flying overhead. You notice it, but you do not chase it. As your awareness grows stronger, something beautiful begins to happen. The mind still speaks, but it no longer controls you. Fear still knocks at your door, but you no longer invite it inside. Old memories still return, but they no longer steal your entire day. You begin living with a quiet confidence, not because life has become perfect, but because you have stopped allowing every passing thought to become your reality. One peaceful breath replaces 10 anxious thoughts. One moment of awareness replaces hours of overthinking. One quiet smile replaces endless inner arguments. And slowly, almost without realizing it, the prison you believed life had built around you begins to disappear. Because the walls were never outside, they were made from thoughts you forgot to question. The moment you stop believing every story your mind creates, you discover something extraordinary. Peace was never hiding from you. It was simply waiting for the noise inside your mind to become quiet enough for you to hear it. Every painful chapter is quietly preparing you for wisdom. One of the hardest questions people ask is, why is this happening to me? When life becomes painful, this question naturally rises inside the heart. You ask it after losing someone you deeply loved. You ask it after your plans fall apart. You ask it when your efforts seem to bring no results. You ask it when life becomes quiet, confusing, and uncertain. At first, this question feels reasonable, but if you stay with it for too long, it slowly becomes a prison. Because your mind keeps looking backward instead of forward, it searches for someone to blame. It searches for reasons that may never fully appear. It searches for explanations while life is already trying to teach you something new. The Buddha showed that suffering can become one of the greatest teachers in your life. Not because pain is something to desire, but because pain has the power to wake up parts of you that comfort never could. Think about a piece of gold. When it is first taken from the earth, it is covered in dirt and stone. It does not immediately shine. It must pass through intense heat. Only then does its true beauty begin to appear. Your heart often grows in the same way. The difficult seasons of life do not always come to destroy you. Sometimes they come to reveal the strength that was hidden inside you all along. Many people wish for wisdom, but very few are willing to experience the lessons that create wisdom. Everyone wants inner peace. Few people realize that peace is often born after periods of confusion. Everyone wants courage. Few understand that courage grows only after fear has been faced. Everyone wants patience, yet patience can only be developed by waiting. Life does not simply hand these qualities to you. It slowly shapes them inside your heart through experience. This is why every difficult season carries two possibilities. You can become bitter, or you can become wiser. The event may be the same. The path you choose afterward makes all the difference. Imagine two people walking through the same storm. One spends the entire journey cursing the rain. The other quietly notices that the rain is washing the dust from the trees. Both experience the same storm, yet each one leaves with a completely different heart. Life often works like this. The event itself is only part of your experience. The meaning you give it becomes the rest. One of the greatest mistakes the human mind makes is believing that every painful chapter is the end of the story. A relationship ends. The mind says, "My happiness is over." A dream falls apart. The mind says, "My future is ruined." A failure happens. The mind whispers, "I will never recover." But life has a beautiful way of proving the mind wrong. Years later, you often look back and realize that the chapter you once feared was actually the chapter that changed everything. The heartbreak taught you self-respect. The loneliness taught you how to enjoy your own company. The failure taught you humility. The uncertainty taught you trust. The loss taught you gratitude. The silence taught you how to listen to yourself. Without those painful experiences, you might have remained the same person forever. Sometimes life closes one door because you have already learned everything that room could teach you. You may not understand it immediately, but wisdom often arrives long after the pain has passed. The Buddha encouraged people not to run away from suffering, but to understand it. There is a profound difference between the two. Running away keeps the lesson unfinished. Understanding allows the lesson to transform you. Imagine reading only the first few pages of a book and deciding that the ending must be terrible. you would never discover the beautiful chapters waiting ahead. Many people do the same thing with their lives. They judge their entire future based on one painful season. But your life is much bigger than your current chapter. This moment is not your whole story. It is only one page. There is another truth that many people never notice. Pain has a way of removing illusions. Before suffering, you may believe that success alone brings happiness. Then one difficult experience teaches you that peace matters more than achievement. Before suffering, you may believe that everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Then disappointment teaches you the value of genuine relationships. Before suffering, you may spend years chasing approval from others. Then heartbreak teaches you to value your own voice. Pain strips away what is false. It leaves behind what is real. This process is uncomfortable, but it is deeply meaningful. Think about how a sculptor creates a masterpiece. The sculptor does not add beauty to the stone. The beauty is already hidden inside. The sculptor simply removes everything that does not belong. Life often shapes you in the same way. Every challenge removes something unnecessary: pride, fear, attachment, false beliefs. The more unnecessary things fall away, the more your true self begins to appear. This is why some of the wisest people you will ever meet are not those who lived the easiest lives. They are often those who walked through deep suffering without allowing suffering to harden their hearts. Instead of becoming angry, they became compassionate. Instead of becoming fearful, they became courageous. Instead of becoming closed, they became understanding. Their pain became wisdom because they allowed it to teach them. Ask yourself honestly, what has your hardest season already taught you? Has it made you stronger, kinder, more patient, more grateful, more aware of what truly matters? If so, then your pain has already begun its transformation into wisdom. Perhaps you are still inside a difficult chapter right now. If that is true, remember this: you do not need to have every answer today. You do not need to understand every reason behind your struggles. Sometimes the lesson is still unfolding. Sometimes the flower is still growing beneath the soil where nobody can see it. Trust the process. The lotus does not bloom the day its seed touches the mud. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. Everything important is taking place beneath the surface. Your own growth often looks exactly like that. Invisible, quiet, slow, but very real. Every act of patience strengthens your heart. Every moment you choose compassion over bitterness changes your character. Every time you continue walking instead of giving up, you become someone your past self could never have imagined. One day, someone else will be standing where you once stood. They will feel lost. They will feel broken. They will wonder if life will ever become peaceful again. And without even realizing it, your own journey will become their hope. Because wisdom is not measured by how many books you have read. It is measured by how much suffering you have transformed into understanding. Never believe that your pain has been meaningless. Even if you cannot see it today, life is quietly carving something beautiful within you. Every tear has softened your heart. Every disappointment has deepened your awareness. Every obstacle has strengthened your spirit. And one day, when you look back over this chapter, you may discover something extraordinary. The season you spent trying to escape was actually the season that gave birth to the wisest version of yourself. That is the quiet miracle of Buddhist wisdom. Nothing is wasted. Not your failures, not your losses, not your tears. When you stop fighting your painful chapters and begin learning from them, even suffering becomes a doorway to lasting peace. Freedom begins the moment you stop measuring your life against others. One of the quietest ways people lose their happiness is through comparison. It does not happen all at once. It happens little by little. You look at someone else's success. Suddenly, your own success feels smaller. You see someone else's relationship. Your own life begins to feel lonely. You notice another person's wealth. Everything you own suddenly seems like it is not enough. Nothing in your life has actually changed. The only thing that changed was where your attention went. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of inner peace because it teaches your mind to ignore everything beautiful that already exists in your own life. The Buddha understood something that many people still struggle to understand today. Every human being is walking a completely different path. No two journeys are the same. No two lives are unfolding in exactly the same way. No two hearts are carrying the same lessons. Yet the mind insists on asking, why am I not where they are? This question has stolen more joy than almost anything else. Imagine standing beneath a beautiful night sky. The moon shines with quiet light. Around it, thousands of stars glow in every direction. Have you ever seen the moon trying to become a star? Have you ever seen a star trying to become the moon? Of course not. Each one shines in its own way. Neither feels incomplete because of the other. Nature never compares itself. Only the human mind believes that one flower must bloom exactly when another flower blooms. Walk through a peaceful garden. You will find roses, lotuses, sunflowers, cherry blossoms. Each one blooms in its own season. Each one carries a different beauty. The lotus never becomes jealous because the rose bloomed first. The bamboo never becomes discouraged because the oak tree is taller. Every living thing simply follows its own rhythm. This is why nature appears so peaceful. It never competes with itself. Now think about your own life. How often have you forgotten your own blessings because you were busy looking at someone else's? Perhaps you finally reached a goal you once prayed for. Instead of celebrating, you immediately noticed someone who had achieved even more. Perhaps your life became peaceful. Then you compared it with someone who seemed more successful. Your joy disappeared within seconds, not because your life became worse, but because comparison changed the way you looked at it. The mind has a strange habit. It almost never compares downward. It rarely notices people who have less. Instead, it constantly searches for someone who appears to have more. More money, more beauty, more confidence, more followers, more opportunities, more happiness. It keeps moving the finish line. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone who appears to have achieved more. If comparison becomes your way of measuring your worth, you will never reach the end of the race because there is no finish line. The race only exists inside your mind. Another danger of comparison is that it causes you to judge your entire life using only the small parts of someone else's story that you can see. You see their smile. You do not see the nights they cried. You see their success. You do not see the years they spent struggling. You see the finished painting. You never watched the thousands of brushstrokes that created it. Every person you admire is carrying invisible burdens. Some hide loneliness, some hide fear, some hide heartbreak, some hide exhaustion. The mind compares your private struggles with another person's public moments. That comparison will never be fair. The Buddha encouraged people to turn their attention inward rather than outward, because your real competition has never been another person. The only meaningful question is this: are you becoming wiser than you were yesterday? Are you becoming kinder than you were yesterday? More patient? More peaceful? More aware? If the answer is yes, then your journey is moving exactly as it should. You do not need to outrun anyone else. You only need to continue walking your own path. There is another hidden cost of comparison. It slowly disconnects you from gratitude. Gratitude says, look how far you have come. Comparison says, look how far you still have to go. Gratitude notices the blessings already in your hands. Comparison notices only what is missing. The more gratitude grows, the quieter comparison becomes. Think about all the things you once prayed for: a safe place to sleep, food on your table, someone who loves you, a chance to begin again, good health, a peaceful morning. Many of these blessings quietly became part of your everyday life. Because they became familiar, your mind stopped noticing them. Instead, it started chasing something else. This is why happiness often fades. Not because life gives us less, but because appreciation becomes weaker. The Buddha taught that contentment is one of the greatest forms of wealth. A person with endless possessions but no contentment will always feel poor. A person with a peaceful heart can find joy in the simplest moments. Contentment does not mean giving up on growth. It simply means refusing to make your happiness depend on having more than someone else. You can continue improving your life, while still appreciating the life you already have. Those two things can exist together. Imagine climbing a mountain. As you walk upward, you occasionally stop and look back. You see how far you have already traveled. You smile with gratitude. Then you continue climbing. That is healthy growth. Now imagine another person climbing the same mountain while constantly looking at climbers who are higher. They never enjoy the view. They never celebrate their progress. They only feel behind. The mountain has not changed. Only their focus has changed. Life is exactly like that. Where your attention goes, your emotions follow. Another powerful truth is this: not everyone is meant to experience the same life. Some people are meant to teach, others are meant to create, some are meant to heal, others are meant to protect. Some bloom early, others bloom much later. But late blooming is not failure. A bamboo tree spends years growing its roots before it suddenly rises high into the sky. During those unseen years, it appears as though nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, it is preparing for extraordinary growth. Many human lives unfold in the same quiet way. Never believe that your progress is invisible simply because it is slower than someone else's. The deepest transformations often happen where no one can see them. Inside your heart, inside your character, inside your awareness. These changes matter far more than applause. One day the world may admire your success, but long before that day arrives, learn to admire your own quiet growth. Celebrate your healing. Celebrate your patience. Celebrate the days you chose peace instead of anger. Celebrate the moments you stood back up after falling. These victories rarely appear on the outside, yet they are the victories that truly shape your life. The moment you stop measuring yourself against others, something incredible begins to happen. You breathe more freely. You smile more often. You stop chasing someone else's dream. You begin discovering your own. Your heart becomes lighter because it is no longer carrying the impossible burden of trying to become someone you were never meant to be. The Buddha never asked you to become another person. He invited you to fully awaken to the person you already are. That is where real freedom begins. Not when you finally become better than everyone else, but when you no longer need to compare yourself with anyone at all, because the flower does not become beautiful by competing with the flowers beside it. It becomes beautiful by fully becoming itself. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. The happiest people are not those who have more than everyone else. They are the ones who have finally learned to see the beauty in the life that has always been their own. The day you stop fighting life is the day true happiness finds you. If you remember only one lesson from everything you have heard today, let it be this: your happiness has never been hiding from you. It has never been locked inside another person's love. It has never been waiting inside a larger house. It has never been hidden behind more money, greater success, or a perfect future. Your happiness has been quietly waiting behind one simple decision: the decision to stop fighting life. For years, perhaps without even realizing it, you have been carrying an invisible weight, the weight of trying to control everything, the weight of comparing yourself to others, the weight of wishing the past had never happened, the weight of fearing tomorrow before it arrives, the weight of believing every anxious thought your mind creates, the weight of trying to become someone other than yourself. Little by little, these invisible burdens have become so familiar that you forgot what it feels like to live without them. You believed life itself was making you tired, but perhaps it was not life that exhausted you. Perhaps it was the constant struggle against life. Imagine swimming upstream in a powerful river. Every movement demands enormous effort. Your arms become weak. Your breathing becomes heavy. Your body begins to ache. You look around and wonder why everything feels so difficult. Then, for just one moment, you stop fighting the current. Something unexpected happens. The river that felt like your enemy begins carrying you forward. The river never changed, only your resistance disappeared. Life works in exactly the same way. The moment you stop arguing with reality, reality no longer feels like a prison. You begin to notice something beautiful. Life has never been trying to defeat you. It has been trying to wake you up. Every challenge has been asking you to become more aware. Every disappointment has been inviting you to let go of an illusion. Every ending has been making space for a beginning. Every delay has been teaching patience. Every loss has been reminding you not to place your entire identity in temporary things. Nothing has been random, not because every event was pleasant, but because every experience carried the possibility of wisdom. The Buddha often reminded people that suffering ends not when the world becomes perfect, but when the mind stops demanding perfection from the world. Think about how much of your life has been spent saying, "I will be happy when I earn more, when I find the right person, when they finally understand me, when my family changes, when my body changes, when my problems disappear." That sentence has stolen years from countless lives, because every time one condition is fulfilled, the mind quietly creates another. The finish line keeps moving. The chase never ends. Now imagine replacing that sentence with a different one. "I choose to be fully alive today." Everything changes. Your attention returns to this breath, this sunrise, this conversation, this ordinary moment that you once ignored because you believed something greater was waiting. You begin seeing miracles hidden inside simple things. A gentle breeze touching your face, the sound of birds before sunrise, the warmth of sunlight entering your room, the laughter of someone you love, the quiet comfort of sitting alone without feeling lonely, a peaceful cup of tea after a long day, the deep relief of taking one slow breath and realizing, "I am here." These moments have always existed. You were simply too busy chasing another future to notice them. The truth is that life has never asked you to become perfect. It has only asked you to become present. The mind constantly says, "Become more." Life quietly whispers, "Be here." One voice creates endless exhaustion. The other creates peace. There will still be difficult days. People will still disappoint you. Plans will still change. There will still be moments of sadness. There will still be uncertainty. Buddhist wisdom never promises a life without pain. Instead, it offers something far more valuable. A heart that is no longer controlled by pain. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is strong, the rain is falling, but deep beneath the surface, the roots of an ancient tree remain completely still. That is what inner peace feels like. The world around you may continue changing, yet something deep within you remains calm, not because life has become easier, but because you have become wiser. There is another beautiful truth many people discover too late. The people who appear happiest are not always the people with the easiest lives. Often they have experienced heartbreak, loss, failure, loneliness, disappointment, but somewhere along the way, they stopped asking life to be different. Instead, they learned how to open their hearts to whatever life brought. They laughed fully when joy arrived. They cried honestly when sadness came. They learned from pain instead of becoming trapped inside it. They trusted change instead of fearing it. They stopped resisting every season. And because they stopped fighting life, life slowly stopped feeling like a battle. Perhaps you have been waiting for a sign that everything will finally become easy. Perhaps that sign is not coming. Perhaps the real sign is this moment when you realize that peace has never depended on perfect circumstances. It has always depended on the relationship you have with your own mind. Everything begins there. If your mind is always chasing tomorrow, today will never be enough. If your mind is always comparing, gratitude will never grow. If your mind refuses to forgive the past, the future will always carry unnecessary weight. But when your mind becomes quiet, everything changes. The same house feels warmer. The same sky looks more beautiful. The same ordinary day becomes extraordinary. Nothing outside has changed, yet your entire experience of life becomes different. This is why the Buddha placed so much importance on awareness, because awareness transforms ordinary living into peaceful living. One quiet breath, one kind thought, one moment of acceptance, one act of gratitude. These small moments seem insignificant, but together they create an entirely different life. Do not underestimate small changes. The ocean is made of countless tiny drops of water, The mountain is formed from countless grains of stone. The forest begins with one small seed. Your inner peace also grows one quiet moment at a time. You do not need to transform your entire life tonight. You only need to stop fighting this moment, then the next one, then the next. Peace grows gently, not through force, but through acceptance, not through perfection, but through presence. One day you will look back at the person you are today. You will remember the nights you spent worrying about things that never happened. You will remember the days you searched everywhere for happiness. You will smile softly, because you will finally understand what the Buddha was trying to teach all along. Happiness was never a destination waiting at the end of your journey. It was the quiet companion walking beside you every step of the way. You simply could not see it because your eyes were fixed on somewhere else. So today, take one slow breath. Release one unnecessary fear. Forgive one painful memory. Let go of one expectation that has been stealing your peace. Trust one uncertain tomorrow. Appreciate one ordinary moment and gently remind yourself, life has never been asking you to win a battle. It has been inviting you to awaken. The river is still flowing. The wind is still moving. The seasons are still changing. The lotus is still blooming from the mud. And life is still patiently waiting for you to stop resisting it. Because the day you stop fighting life is the day life finally becomes your greatest teacher. The day you stop demanding that every moment be different is the day every ordinary moment begins to feel sacred. The day you stop searching for happiness somewhere far away is the day you discover it has been quietly living inside you all along. And perhaps that is the greatest freedom a human being can ever experience. Not changing the world, but changing the way they walk through it. When that happens, happiness is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you naturally carry wherever you go. That is the true beginning of inner peace. That is the heart of Buddhist wisdom, and that is where your new life begins. As we come to the end of this journey, take one slow, gentle breath. Notice that nothing around you may have changed. Your home is the same. Your responsibilities are still there. The world continues moving exactly as it always has, and yet, perhaps something inside you feels different. Perhaps your heart feels a little lighter. Perhaps your mind has become a little quieter. Perhaps, for the first time in a long time, you understand that peace was never waiting for life to become perfect. It was waiting for you to stop fighting what you cannot control. The Buddha taught that happiness is not something we find somewhere far away. It is something we uncover when the noise of resistance finally becomes silent. Every moment you choose acceptance instead of fear. Every moment you choose awareness instead of endless thinking. Every moment you choose gratitude instead of comparison. You are already walking the path toward lasting peace. Remember, life will continue changing. Some days will bring sunshine. Others will bring storms. People will come, people will leave. Dreams will begin. Dreams will end. But when your peace comes from within, instead of from the outside world, nothing can truly take it away. Never forget this beautiful truth. You do not need to control every wave to enjoy the ocean. You do not need to stop every storm to experience a peaceful heart. You only need to become still enough to remember who you really are beneath all the noise. So wherever you are right now, whether you are healing from heartbreak, searching for direction, feeling overwhelmed, or simply longing for a quieter mind, know that this moment can be the beginning of a completely new way of living. Not because your life suddenly became easier, but because your heart has become wiser. May you leave behind the battles that were never yours to fight. May you release the burdens you have carried for far too long. May you welcome each new sunrise with a little more trust, a little more compassion, and a little more peace, because the happiest life is not the one with the fewest problems. It is the one with the calmest heart. If this message touched something deep inside you, let it become more than just another video. Carry one lesson with you today. Practice it quietly, live it patiently, and watch how your entire life begins to change, one peaceful moment at a time. If you found comfort, wisdom, or clarity in today's journey, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Zen Path of Realization. Together, we are building a space where millions of hearts can slow down, breathe deeply, and rediscover the peace that has always lived within them. Until we meet again, walk gently, speak kindly, live mindfully, and remember, happiness does not begin when life finally becomes perfect. Happiness begins the very moment you stop fighting life. May your heart remain peaceful, may your path remain wise, and may the lotus within you continue to bloom, no matter how muddy the waters become.